Alright. Hey everybody. Your Wars Buddy here. So welcome to episode 12 of our Let's Play series. So, we've made good progress into Tyria. So we're done Nightfall, we're done factions, we're pushing into Tyria now. We're gonna start the jungle today. We'll see how far we can get. We burnt through a good chunk of the game yesterday with Magical Mike, so that was very nice. I don't think he'll be joining us tonight, so it'll just be me and this wonderful beer. I'm drinking Steampunk tonight, which is a Dunkel. It's very good beer. Alright, so let's get started. Let's go back to Druid's Overlook. We're going to start with a Brother's Fury. That's the quest we're on. Anybody we know? I don't think I know this person. Alright. So I've been playing a lot of Guild Wars 2. I say a lot of. I've been playing some Guild Wars 2, and I've started the Guild Hall stuff. So I'm making some progress. It does cost a fair amount of coin and items, and pretty soon, once the mining excavation begins. Oh man, I've been playing too much Guild Wars 2. I was trying to dodge. Oh. Once I get the mining excavation, I'm gonna have to start getting the guildies on to do events in order to get more favor. Oh man, I remember farming around this area, the Devourers. Why did I hate these seed thingies so much? Nope. More Devourers. I was, I don't want to give people the wrong impression with regards to how much I hated prophecies. I don't want to, say there's nothing good in prophecies. Yesterday, me and Magical Mike did a number on the game, complaining about this, that, and the other. And I'm not going to say that that criticism isn't valid, because it absolutely is. There's a lot that needed to be improved in this game, which like I said, they addressed most of it in factions and Nightfall. I think Nightfall was, by orders of magnitude better than prophecies in a lot of ways. There's the way the missions are handled, the way the quests are handled, there's the overall maps being way more open, but yet there's still plenty of content to go through. I think prophecies, they try to extend the gameplay by making the character go back and forth and wind around the map for no reason. Factions, there's a lot of go one place to come back to the same place. And then they got rid of all of that in Nightfall, which was a huge improvement. I am looking forward to Isle of the North, I have to say. It is an absolute gem of gameplay. I think it's a balance of all the Guild Wars. I think it does a good job of balancing out the time things take to do with how much fun it is, etc. It's just overall it's a much more positive experience to play Eye of the North compared to playing the other three. I know it's not its own expansion. What it is it's just nothing but end game content. Everything's level 20, and I think that was the smartest thing they ever did. Which, kind of goes into the whole Heart of the Thorns stuff that I've been playing, and you get the idea. Okay, well, I think they missed the boat with regards to masteries. I'm not gonna say it's terrible. I'm not gonna say that I 100% disagree with it, but I think when I compare it to Eye of the North, where you don't have a second skill bar. Like, they don't go, okay, well, there's a whole new leveling system, and now you have to level up this new, different way. Like, no, don't do that. That's stupid. And I think that's the problem I have at the moment as I work with masteries. Is I think, why? If Eye of the North was able to do that, they were able to go, okay, look, it's all in-game content. You're all level 20. Levels no longer really mean anything. So let's move on with this new way of working with this stuff. And I think that makes a lot of sense. With Masteries and Guild Wars 2, I feel like they just went, okay, look, so everybody's already level 80, so let's make everybody level 80 plus and add 186 levels. No. That's stupid. It's one of the things I disagree with. But I didn't realize I disagreed with it until the more and more I thought about Eye of the North. You know. Alright. I made it here, yay! Alright. Do we need to sell our stuff? No, we're still good. So let's begin this mission, which is the Wilds. Man, I do not remember most of these missions. And tonight I don't have Mike to help me out and point me in the right direction. My God, I hope I don't get lost. As I would have done yesterday, quite a lot. Oh, the jungle trolls. It's funny seeing a lot of characters a lot of enemies that come back in Guild Wars 2 and seeing them, higher death and slightly different. Because I'm not really connected to the characters in Guild Wars 2. I'm more connected, funnily enough, to the enemies. I have a connection to the enemies I fight and how I fight them. It's a Sunday night, not a lot of people in Twitch chat at the moment. It's just too bad. It's way more interesting when they have somebody to shoot the shit with, to bounce ideas off of, to kind of... Because, I've said this before, and I'll say it again. Tyria wasn't one of those places I reminisce in, because to me, by the time I got here, I'd been playing the game for quite a while. And I had already fallen in love with Nightfall. With Cornai, Stun, and all that. So this is just meh. And even the people that started in Tyria don't have a and this is what they've said, they don't have a particular love of this area. They don't have a love of the gameplay. They don't sit there and go, oh yeah, when I start a new character, I want to start before the Searing and go through this entire campaign. It's a long campaign. It's not only long from it's not only long because of how many missions it has, but the missions are the connecting wire. They don't go, okay, well, in this mission, how about you fight in this fort, and then the next time we'll give you a quest that connects the two together. In this one, it's no, you do a mission that brings you to a mission that brings you to a mission that brings you to a mission. There's no, there's no connecting thread there. You know what I mean? So you're not forced to go out and explore. What's this cutscene for? You're forced to explore the area before you go in it and have a mission in it. You know what I mean? Oh, this is where they explain the seeds. When you go into the realm of torment, what's interesting is you do a mission, and then for the next mission you have to walk to the next location, which forces you to explore the map in between. Okay? And then you face those enemies and those problems, and then you get to the next location, and you go, okay, now we do a mission. And now you're at the new location. Now again, let's do a connecting a wire, get to the next, you know what I mean? And it goes on and on and on like this. And I think that's essential. I think before you have a mission somewhere, you should have to explore the area a little bit and get to know the area a little bit. Prophecies, you get the impression that they lowered the experience that you get per quest without permission and from fighting, etc., in order to force people to explore by doing little side missions. I remember talking to people about skill bars and blah blah blah, and they're like, "Oh yeah, in Prophecies, you had to do little quests, and that's why you went out into the map." So, for someone coming out of it, coming into the area, um, having a whole bunch of skills and being used to the Nightfall approach,
Lilandra joined your channel.
So
Lilandra left your channel.
Co-guild leader Landra, who I wanted to have a talk, jumped in, realized, oh no, he's streaming. Now she's sending me messages that I can't read. Because we're on stream. Man. If I remember correctly, this mission is massive. Like, this area that we're in right now is ridiculous. It's very easy to get lost in it. Like, here I need a seed, which we don't have. Which we need to find. Which I don't know who has it. So that's gonna be a problem.
Lilandra has left the server.
So yeah, to go back to my point, the issue is that you don't see enough of the map outside of a mission where you're trapped in it. You know what I mean? And I think that's important for connecting with the world or connecting with the map. The only time I really interacted with these maps is when I farmed them, really. When somebody said, "Oh yeah, if you take this weird warrior build into the Maguma jungle, you can go kill these weird self-healing worms and you can get totem axes, which people want in order to 55 monk." Like, oh, okay, that's easy enough to do. Let's do that. There we go. Here's the fine seed flower. And Mike was saying yesterday, one of the other issues is that every single mission in Tyria seems to have like a gimmick. It's like, yeah, in this mission we've implemented a new rule, and it's this one, and you have to follow these rules. And then in the next mission, it's gone. It's no longer there. And he says that's a problem, you know. Because it feels inconsistent, it feels almost schizophrenic, it doesn't feel fun. Thought I was gonna get a seed. I guess not. For example, in this one it's the seeds. Later on it's going to be carry the scepter of war. Sometimes it's... what was another one that we did? Oh yeah, light the beacons. So carry this torch. You know, that's not tremendously... That's not interesting as a thing to add to a mission. But they keep adding it. And you go, why? I hated it in factions. I hated when we played through it the other day, I said it, I don't like the early spear missions. Having to carry them around. I don't think it adds anything to gameplay. Yeah, you gotta sacrifice a character to carry around this thing, because if not, you know, you can't progress, or you're crippled, or you suffer from these problems, and you go, well, there's a more interesting way of doing that, isn't there? And what ends up happening, which is what they do in Nightfall. When you get to Nightfall, they go, okay, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna give you a debuff in this area. So whenever you do this mission, you have to consider that there's a new Lord of Anguish, and because of that, you suffer X. So it's gimmicky, but you don't have to carry something. You can plan for that mission. Go, okay, so I get to use less skills, or I need to use skills that use less mana, or skills that I have to use less frequently. You have to use a different kind of heal. You know what I mean? You can tweak it to. It forces you to make a new build in order to successfully complete that mission in an interesting way. You can just do what we did, just power through, but in the event that you can't, you have to consider, okay, what can't I bring? You know, like my entire build is needs me to be able to cast quickly. Okay, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new situation where you can't cast quickly at all. Every skill takes an extra second longer. You go, ah, shit, well, then my build isn't going to work. I need to modify it, you know, if I'm going to survive. That's interesting. What I loved about the Norn missions when into Eye of the Norn is the fact that they go, okay, look, we're going to teach you about the wolf, you know, and go get the wolf and do this thing. Oh, and by the way, now that you have this skill, you can use it in the map. And it has other, you know, functionality. Same thing with the raven, same thing with the bear. So it isn't just like the scepter of war that you carry around for a mission. Ooh, I get one, you know, mana regen more. It's like, yeah, but after the mission's done, it's gone. So I don't get to use it, you know? If I could keep it, that'd be way more interesting. You know, what if, you know, because you completed that mission, there's a skill, and the only way of getting that skill is to play that mission where you carry the scepter of war. Then the skill gives you like one more energy regen, blah blah blah, and you could find a way of balancing it. But you know what I mean? Like it could add something to the gameplay, as it does in Eye of the North. When you unlock some of these skills, it makes a big difference. Like I'm sad I don't have, you know, Drunken Master on my bar. I love that skill. I think it's a great skill. It's a stance that you keep constantly, but it can be affected by consumables. And since those consumables are alcohol, which you can only get usually during events, it incentivizes people to come to events. it's simple things like this that I think, I don't want to say NCSoft has missed out on, but I find that sometimes ArenaNet seems to be missing the mark with some things in Guild Wars 2. Easy things that they did in Guild Wars 1 that they did right, that were fun, that were part of the gameplay, that I had no issue with. But then in Guild Wars 2 come out with these new methodologies that don't seem to work very well. From a player perspective, maybe they work extremely well for their wallets. And that microtransaction approach is actually, you know, genius for all I know. And what does the mission say? Chase the fleeing mission and rescue the chosen. Okay. What I'm going to end up doing is just clearing this entire map of enemies is what I'm actually going to do. We can't go. I can see where they got the inspiration for Guild Wars 2's jungle going up and down. I mean, this isn't, so far, nearly as bad as Faction's urban center. But you have to admit, it's pretty easy to get turned around and you took one wrong path. And okay, we're gonna wind you in a way and you can't come back, and it's all, you know, basically one direction. You can't just drop down a couple feet. And this is part of the issue people have with the inability to jump, is it forces you down these linear corridors. Alright, am I back where I started? Yes, I am. But I'm over it. Okay. And then I went that. Okay. So which way do I have to go? Is it this way? Or is it under? Is that the way? Okay, so I guess I was supposed to go this way. No, this is the way I went last time. So this is incorrect. Where does this lead? Okay, this leads into it. Okay, let's go this way. Oh, okay, you see people running away. Okay, so that's at least heading vaguely in the right direction. The closing door mechanic is interesting, and I like the way it's used in the Deep. Factions, you know, in the Deep they do that a lot, where you enter a room and they close the door. Like, ah, god damn it. Stop running. One of my early warrior builds actually used Endure Pain as kind of like a heal. Just, oh shit, I'm about to die. Hit Endure Pain, leave area, leave the fight that I was in, and then just escape. Okay, this looks like I'm gonna go down into a valley, and that's not good in this area, is it? Oh shit. I guess no matter what, I have to go down into the valley. It's funny, I talk so much about how much I enjoyed the greenery of Easton, you know, and I actually don't like this jungle. I don't think I could ever go to a rainforest. I think it'd be too hot, too uncomfortable. Ooh, the spiders. I have the North utilized the spiders really well. We saw that briefly on our trip to finding Gad, where we went and got Livia at the same time. Is this a dead end? God damn it. Didn't we see them run down this way? Oh, they went that way probably. Yeah, that must be it. Oh yeah, mending in the water. I remember that. I have to say, Guild Wars 2 did do a really good thing, which is the ability to do this stuff on your character so that you can actually see like what you have on. Like the mending there, it should have had, it should say mending and then it should say like a 2 or a 3 depending on the power of that mending. You know, 100 blades should have a number, like 24, that green, I shouldn't have to hover over it to see it. It should just say 100 blades 24. So you know what that skill is doing. And so when you take something like this and you increase all the skills by 1 and then you do 100 blades, it says okay, now it does 25. And I think people would be more aware of exactly how much damage they were doing and exactly how good or bad a certain buff was if you could see it up here. And I think that was a good implementation in Guild Wars 2. Oh, I see them running. Okay, good. So we're heading in the right direction. Well, that's not good. Okay, good. Check it out, it's it. Now, what game is also like this? Skyrim, the first dungeon you go into is there's a person trapped by a spider. There's it, of course, giant spider. What about this? What else has spiders and people trapped in them? And trapped in webs. I've never seen spiders this big, to be honest. I've never ever even seen spiders vaguely large. I mean, camel spiders are supposed to be pretty big, but wasn't that impressed. I have to say, I was not that impressed. Alright, so now we're at Bloodstone Fen. As you can see, it's like automatically teleported us here. I don't, if I remember correctly, it's actually difficult. Like that these two areas aren't necessarily connected, which I found fascinating. Alright. Bloodstone Fen. I don't even remember if this mission's long or short. The Thorn Stalkers. I can't remember what it was about these guys that I hated. Oh, it's the knockdowns. That's what it is. It's the knockdowns. Very quickly became apparent. Oh, I just got knocked down. You know, that's what I didn't like about them. I think as a warrior, it was the thing I liked the least. Just because it's such a shutdown of your abilities. To the elementalists and the mesmers and the necros, anything that denies them mana is debilitating. Like that's the okay. How do I shut down a caster? Mana. That's what it is. But from a warrior perspective, it's blind and knockdown. I've been playing my Guardian as a Hammer Guardian, because the raid build that I was given, you know, this is like, yeah, Hammer's the way to go, and it's good. I mean, I like it, but I didn't remember that there was such a strong skill, skill number 4, where you just send your opponent flying. That was amazing. I've been using it a lot. Really enjoying knocking about like huge bosses and just like, no, get out of the way. I'm trying not to overuse it simply because, especially when there's other people playing around me, they're trying to land skills. So like, yeah, the enemy's here, I'm going to launch my attacks now, and then I go and send that guy flying. Doesn't do them a lot of good. Oh, those goddamn knockdowns. It's one of those reasons I'm sad I don't have Pain Inverter yet from, not that I used it on Warriors typically, but loved Pain Inverter as one of those just, yep, insta-kill on anything that does AoE damage. Bloodstone Fen. I'm not even sure what a fen is. It's certainly not a word I use very often to describe any part of geography. So me and Mike yesterday when we were talking, I spoke about it very briefly, and I don't think I really explained my point of view on that, or kind of the inherent issue with calling Guild Wars an RPG, you know, a role-playing game, is that, you know, as you said, there's really only one quest where the RPG elements even come into play. And you know, that's if you decide not to do one particular quest. Now, I don't necessarily think that's completely problematic, because I loved Fallout 4, and Fallout 4 has a lot of the choice taken out of it. Although you do have a fair amount of choice in regards to like, what settlements do I take, and and with Nuka World you have a choice of do I take settlements or do I raid. So you're kind of given that option. In this, it's just do the story. Like you don't have a choice of let's side with the Vizier, or let's, you know, in Nightfall you can't go, you know what, Abaddon's right. It'd be strange, I know, but part, you know, to me anyway, part of a role-playing game is choice. It's do I have a choice? What choice do I get to make? You know, do I save the innocent or do I kill them? In factions, you're given some choice. You know, do my Luxina or my Kurzik? Now, really, all you're doing is picking a flavor. It's like, oh yeah, I'm more of a chocolate guy, I'm more of a vanilla. This doesn't change much to gameplay. You know what I mean? It's not like the Luxins are evil or the Kurziks are evil. Both are pretty even. So, what's the choice? Like, I think it was King Kamaru was asking me like, what I thought about the Mersat. And then you asked the question, well, that's a good point. If with regards to the Mersat, would I back them? You know what I mean? Like, are they justified in killing innocent people in order to prevent the Titans from invading? You know, is that sufficiently good reason? And why can't I make that choice? Why can't I say, yeah, you know what? I agree with the Mersat, and we should let the Mersat continue to kill the innocent because it protects our world. Now, how would that translate into gameplay? I don't know. It'd be a different game for sure. But I have a hard time accepting that Guild Wars is a role-playing game when it doesn't have any choice. What role exactly am I playing? My class? It's kind of lame. But you know, by that logic, if you know, Team Fortress is an RPG, because I choose to play what class I play. You know, there's no moral choice there. It doesn't even have to be a moral choice, but it just has to be enough choice that it's my way of wanting to do it. You know, in Nightfall, there's a few occasions where you're given a choice of do I want to be sneaky and do this mission, or do I want to do it, you know, loud? Now, some of them you're not really given a choice, you kind of have to, and if you want the bonus, you really have to. So if you want the bonus, you have to take out all the towers defending this area, blah blah blah. And it's like, okay, well that's interesting. It's not, I don't necessarily 100% agree with it, but okay, sure. And that is a choice. You know, if I was a commander leading innocent people away from danger, is this how I would do it? Is there a way of going this way? Can I go up? And then probably you would say, yeah, of course, yeah, I'd be the guy who would take this slow, and I think it would be worth making sure not to take any unnecessary risks and taking all the towers. You know, the roleplay there is uncautious. Or, what if I sacrifice not only the bonus, but I say, look, here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna send these people off. I have 10 evacuees I have to bring to the other side. But if I sacrifice this one refugee, he goes off. I don't get the bonus. Let's say I sacrifice a little bit of experience in the mission. But because I let him go off and he created a diversion, and then that diversion means I don't have to fight like this boss and 2 or 3 large groups of enemies, and the mission gets cut by like a third, just because I didn't do that one thing. Like that would be an interesting way. You know, do I sacrifice an innocent person or risk their life in order to make it easier to make sure that the group survives? You know? That would be simple things you could add to missions that add choice and is kind of role play. When you get to factions and you're picking your heroes to go and do the final fight, before the final fight, it's okay. If I pick Danica, she'll sacrifice herself and close this door, blocking off these tough enemies. If I choose Talon Silverwing, Wing, you know, this will happen. If I choose this hero, you know, they'll destroy that bridge, which will, you know, save me X amount of effort. Now, in that mission, there's 6 people, and you're given a choice of 2, but all of them do something similar. You know what I mean? So really, that's close to what I think some of these missions should have. They should all have a bit of a choice. I choose this option, life gets easier, but how does it get easier? And what does it say about me that I do or do not make that choice? And I'm torn here whether or not I should get another seed or go through and figure out if I even need one. Then I'm going to go through and figure out if I even need one. Probably will, but it's better if I kill everything first. It's a small point because I think the game stands on its own merits. I don't see the choice that I'm making. I don't see the role that I'm playing in the game. In this RPG. You know what I mean? I should get a role to play. Am I the benevolent commander who will save absolutely everyone? Am I the opportunist who sells people out for profit? You know, like what if at one point, let's say in Ilona, you're bringing the refugees back and you get to Margaret the Sly, and she says, "Look, you can either give me 2 platinum or 2 of the survivors, you know, as slaves that I'm going to go and sell or whatever, as you know, they're going to be galley hands or whatever in my on my ship." You know, why aren't I given that choice? That'd be an interesting choice. What if you gave almost all the evacuees over, and because of that, you got money at the end of the mission? You know what I mean? But because you gave money, they gave you money at the end of the mission for selling out these people. You dropped a Sun Spear rank that you can never get back. Or when you go to certain towns, people don't sell to you because they know you sold their loved one into slavery. So like the merchant says, you know, I know what you did to my husband, and so now you can't use that town's merchant. I'm spitballing here, but the point is that look how easy it would be to add choice to the game, add consequences. You know, maybe you're one of those people that goes, yeah, no, I would never do that. Well, then that's good for you. That's, you know, that's not the role you would play. You would be the benevolent commander. But I think the whole point of an RPG is to give people those kinds of choices. Because in a game, you can make that choice, and the side effects are non-existent. Right? Nobody feels them but you in the game. You know, nobody's actually being tortured. Nobody actually becomes a slave. Nothing really bad's happening. That's part of video game logic, is that you get to try things out that in real life you couldn't. Now, maybe this never occurred to RPGness. Um, they're just like, yeah, this is the story we made, and that's what we're gonna go for. But you do have to wonder, you know, in an RPG, how is it that you don't have much of a choice? It's you're gonna blindly follow this group because well, we need to progress the story. Oh, and it turns out they tricked you. You know, I don't see it as fair. I guess is my point. This isn't how I would do it. I can't remember which of these I'm supposed to go to. I think both of you lead you to the same spot, so I'm going to drop it here and hope that this brings me to the right spot. It's the second time a Mesmer ends up killing me. Starting to see a pattern. But I'd like to see in the comments, if anybody on YouTube watches that, what do you think? Do you think that it's an MMORPG and really the role is your class, and it doesn't matter that you're not given any kind of choice? Like, that's not an issue for you. You just enjoy the gameplay and you don't mind that you're this benevolent person going around saving the world because. Or do you have a problem with the fact that you can't play kind of an evil character, or a morally questionable character, or a character that prefers the, making it easier on himself? Or is it even more complex than that? Is there a level of, it's not necessarily bad to send one person to their death if it saves all of them. So it saves a whole other group of people. Because that's just how it has to be. Like, that's a normal thing to happen. To send somebody off to be a distraction while everybody else gets away. But I'd love to know your thoughts. I mean, that's because right now I'm playing Guild Wars 2, and I'm struggling with that same problem of choice. Like, what's my choice? Like, granted, I'm not going to back somebody who's going to bring about the end of the world. Okay, I think that doesn't make sense. Whenever it happens in books and video games, I sit there and I go, well, Like, I understand the motivation of, what's his name? Is it Ezekiel? Who is it? In Kevin Smith's movie Dogma, there's one of the fallen angels in hell, and his reason for wanting to bring about the end of the universe, wanting to negate all reality, is because hell used to just be the absence of God, but human souls came into hell and brought their own psychology down with them and created a melodrama that made hell not only just the absence of God, but made it a torture pit. And being an angelic being, this is just 10 times worse than it needs to be. Hell was unbearable even before man showed up, is his point. He says if you could just atone for your own sins, it would be fine, but you can't. And so you come down to hell begging to be punished. It's an interesting movie. If you haven't seen um, Kevin Smith's Dogma, absolutely worthwhile. Matt Damon and Ben Affleck are great in it. Chris Rock even makes an appearance. Alan Rickman is in it as the Metatron. It's a great movie. But with the exception of that kind of movie where, you know, the evil, the person willing to bring about hell has a very good reason, bring about end the world has a really good reason why, you know, it would be better to go to no longer exist than it would to continue on the way that it is. It's debatable, but it's a clear motivation. Would you side with that person? I don't think you would. In a video game, that would suck. It just ends the game. I think in Fable, you're given that choice. That the guy says, "Hey, do you want to stay with? Do like, hey, let's work together and we'll rule the world." And then the game just ends. If you say yes, the game just ends. There's another game that does that as well. It's EVO. Sorry, I just hit the mic. EVO, The Search for Eden, where you play a little creature. You just play a little creature and you gradually evolve through the stages, trying to figure out why there's all these weird anomalies occurring in evolution. It's a great little game. It's on Super Nintendo. One of my favorites. But anyways, there comes a point where you meet the T-Rex, which is the... Granted, in real life, he wasn't actually the apex predator of his day, but let's assume for the moment that he was. You know, he says, "Hey, you're powerful enough to have gotten here. How about we join forces, and we'll rule the world together." And then again, the game ends there if you decide to back him. So I find those kinds of games fascinating that add that choice. Hey, by the way, do you want to just rule the world? And then if you answer yes, boom, done. Game ends. By the way, you rule the world forever, being horrible to innocent people. You know what I mean? And the thing is, they didn't have to add a whole bunch of voice dialogue. They didn't have to add a whole bunch of, you know, it is just literally like you pick that option. Here's a couple of cutscenes, or here's just like 1 or 2 frames of video, or 1 or 2 frames of animation to just explain that you ruled the world for the next 30 years before a random hero came about and killed you in your sleep or whatever. You go, "Oh, okay, well that's stupid." Well, you go, "Yeah, but it's silly, but it's a choice that you got to make. Now go back and play the game proper." So in this game, say like you could put it in, it'd be silly, but just like you back the Vizier, and then you just see the gates open up, and you see the Titans, invade the world, and you see everybody in every single town like just dead. Like it wouldn't have been that hard to just kill everybody in the town, take a frame of them all dead on the ground, and then see like Large Arch in flames and a few things like that, and then said, this is what happened when you back the Vizier. You go, "Oh, okay, interesting. Now go back and play the game again, properly this time." Or am I already there? Is it after Sanctum K that I get to have a party of 8? Is it really that far into the game? Not that I mind having just a party of 6, but much better than a larger party. So to the few viewers I have at the moment, any comment about RPGs, about choice, about how to add choice to Guild Wars? Agree, disagree? Alright, here we go. Oh, so we're almost already into the other map, which is good. These trees are really strange. Did they explain the origin of these kinds of just light trees? Just bioluminescence, just... what's the next mission? Aurora Glade? Oh, we're not there yet. Etton's back. What are they fighting? Oh yeah, the centaurs. I really like that in almost any game when people that are your enemies are fighting someone else. It's always a nice touch. I always think it's interesting. Or when civilized things, like for example, if this Devour were to attack the Gumals, that would make sense to me. I go, yeah, because that's a wild animal. It's looking out for food, and these guys would make good prey. And I think all the wolves and things of that nature, anything that has that is actually a creature, should go after the minions of the necromancer first. You know what I mean? Because they're the weaker ones, right? They move slower. They're not as strong. They don't have armor. But to me, that would make more sense. Oh my. They're coming out of the ground. As this nostalgia series moves forward, I realize just how much shorter it's going to be than I thought it was. I have considered, instead of streaming every night, streaming every other night. It'll give me more time to plan out the next episode. And stretch out the series a bit more. I mean, it's not like I get a tremendous amount of views on Twitch anyway. YouTube gets, about 50 views per video, which is pretty good, considering the length of the series and everything. Alright, are you gonna give me the... Is this it? Is this the next primary mission? It is. Sweet. Ventari's Refuge. This guy. Oh yeah. So he's the one that tends the tree in Eye of the North that brings about the Sylvari. There was a time once when humans and centaurs lived in peace. But that was long, long ago. I'm afraid I will not live to see such a time come again to Tyria. Valar sent you to me, no doubt. I am sorry, but I cannot involve myself in the political affairs of humans. I hope you understand. While we have been chatting, it seems your other friends of white have surrounded my refuge. Nevertheless, peace is the path I walk. I must remain neutral. Fuck you. I'm just gonna be sweet. Not gonna interfere. Alright, let's go into Netson's back. To go back to my point about, RPGs and choice, why wasn't it an option to try to extort something out of Antari there? Why couldn't I say something like, if you don't, I'll kill you after, or if you don't provide any assistance, blah. Or how about, just try to bribe him. What if I gave your people X amount of money? Would you fight the White Mantle? You know what I mean? Like something to push. Something that would be a choice that would have an impact one way or the other. Commander Valor, urgent warning. Alright. Let's push on. Now, this episode I won't be pushing through quite so much content as I did yesterday. That was just a bit crazy with Mike. It was just really nice to have somebody to bounce ideas off of. But I don't think this episode will go through 10 missions in 3 hours. That was just too much. And as Mike said after, it's very draining. Prophecies is just such a draining endeavor. It just doesn't feel as rewarding as the other campaigns. Now, maybe somebody else can tell me, but is this meant to be dry top in Guild Wars 2? Are we in the right area for that, or is it over here? But yeah, no, I'm a strong proponent of choice in almost any game. I think the more choice you give the player, um, the better. Which is why, the choices that we were given in Guild Wars 2 with regards to the storyline felt so... just didn't feel very good. When you play through a game like, let's say, Dragon Age, so it doesn't matter what you start off as. If you're a rich human, a poor human, blah blah. I mean, it changes some aspects of the game. However, it has no real impact on the game. Eventually you become a Grey Warden and the game starts. But then throughout the game, you're given strong choices. Like, okay, do I go see the circle and get something in order to release this child from demonic possession? Or do I use blood magic, which means you end up killing someone? Do you spare someone's life or not? You know, do you go looking for more evidence, or is what you have available to you now good enough? Do you run the risk of letting somebody who's guilty go free because of insufficient evidence in Dragon Age? You know, those are the kinds of the choices that you're given. And sometimes you're given choices that are just flat evil, like letting a demon take possession of a young boy, but you get some extra perks. You know, you get some skills out of it. It's like, okay, but the choices you make at the start of the game as to whether or not to be an elf for this or that or the other have very little impact on the game. It's the same thing in Guild Wars 2. When you start the game, you're like, okay, were you did you always dream of going to the circus? So that changes a couple of the missions early on. Sorry, a couple of quests early on. But very quickly all the roads converge and, okay, do I become Priory or not? And again, that was a false choice because it changed a little bit the missions you got, but not really, and then everything converges at like level 40. And then everybody joins the pact, and then that's all you're doing from now on. And there's very little choice about what missions are done. But at no point are you given a real moral choice. There's something that's difficult to choose, or something that has a benefit to you, or that you have to sacrifice something in order to get something. And that's what I found the most. I remember me and Flail talking about this. He was so annoyed. He was so upset when he found out that it didn't matter what choice you made at the start of the game. Character creation, you know, if your sister was dead or your parents or whatever, or all your backstory was just meaningless. You know, that it had no real impact on the game. And at no point any of the choices that you made, which you thought, you know, would have an impact on the story and on your character as a whole, did nothing. It's the illusion of choice, you know, and I think it's one of the worst kinds of choice. I would rather you give me a linear game and not give me the illusion of choice. No. I'm playing a flawed character, let's put it that way. I'm okay playing a flawed character. I'm okay playing a goody two-shoes. I'm okay with being even an evil character, like let's say in a game like Dungeon Keeper or something like that, where, you know, you're the bad guy, evil genius, the you know, the top-down kind of base management kind of the game. There's nothing wrong with that style of game. It's a great game. And you're not given choice about whether or not you're the good guy or the bad guy or whatever. And depending on which bad guy you choose to be, you might get bonuses. You might choose to have the guy that has more research, or the guy that gets more money, or the guy that gets better heroes, the guy that, you know. But the illusion of choice just makes you, it just makes everything feel cheap. Because then it's meant to give you a sense of investment into the character you created. But really all it does is highlight how impotent you are. That nothing that you choose or do is of any significance. And it's made even worse by the fact that Traherne in the main quest line in Guild Wars 2 seems to take all the credit and he does none of the work. usually the only choice you are given in that kind of a game is whether or not to sacrifice yourself at the end of the game. You know, are you the noble hero who dies for everybody, blah blah blah. The self-sacrifice. And a lot of people accept that. They like it's a limited choice, but at least it's a real one. Alright, so we've made it to Aurora Glade. I think that's pretty much as far as I want to go tonight. I don't want to, like I said, I don't like the jungle particularly much, and I don't want to go too far and do 10 missions all at once. I think getting this far into the jungle makes the most sense. And then continuing on tomorrow. And that'll keep the series from just exploding. Maybe I should keep the videos at 90 minutes instead of 3 hours. I think 3 hours is a bit too long. And we should start splitting them up a bit more.
Welcome, friend.
Alright. So that's going to be it. So thanks everybody for watching. And then tomorrow we'll continue our push into the jungles of Tyria. And hopefully I will have other things to talk about besides my complaining about, or my version of whether or not Guild Wars is actually an RPG in the traditional sense. So, have a good night, and I'll see you all next time.